Hey, I'm Randy and I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, we don't feel like hi-fi equipment. Amps, speakers, DACs, turntables, receivers, surround speakers, center speakers, cables, did I say that? Should cost more than replacing a hot water heater that just exploded in your garage. Actually, it didn't explode, but it spilled all of its contents into the garage and the drip pan. But it overflowed the drip pan into the garage. Okay, all right. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about the Cambridge AXA25. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the Cambridge Audio AXA25. Today's sponsor is Ray's Motivational Candles. These are all the rejected candles from the regular candle manufacturing facility. They have bumps and bruises, and then old Ray grabs them, he buys them by the truckload, and he scrawls some type of motivational word on it. This one says peace, okay? You probably can't see that. Old Ray knows what he's doing now. Ray's Motivational Candles. This one smells like Old Man Cologne. This is the flavor. Old Man Cologne is the scent of Ray's Motivational Candles. Sorry, Ray. All right, the Cambridge AXA25. I hope you enjoyed that. I didn't, because it took a long time to do it, because I'm not very good at this. We've probably established that by now. Cambridge Audio AXA25. It is $225. It has 4 RCA inputs. It has volume and it has knobs. Now, I don't remember which ones are which, all right? There's a balance knob, okay? There's a bass knob and there's a treble knob. It also has a selector switch and a tape out, just in case you're wanting to tape something, make a mixtape. Don't laugh though, because I've actually got a cassette player on its way from my buddy B. He's sending me a Nakatomi Tower. Is that right? Anyway, he's sending me a tape deck because I'm going to play a cassette. Actually, I'm going to go on eBay and buy up all the old cassettes before anybody else does. I know, there's a land rush for cassettes. Anyway, I think it'll be fun. I digress. So on the back, you have the RCAs. Interestingly enough, there's also a 5-volt USB, half amp USB, just in case you want to charge your cell phone in 10 days. And then it has a power connector on the back. The cool thing is, on the back, they have these upside down as well. So they have the writing regular way that you would normally see it, but then it's upside down too. So when you're looking behind the amp, you know what you're looking at. I don't know how useful it is on something like this because it's all RCAs, but I can see on other components it being very useful. But anyway, thank you, Cambridge. Did you learn that at Oxford? This amp puts out a whopping 25 watts, and I tested it on a variety of speakers. So at $225, chances are most people would be mating this up with maybe an affordable speaker, like the Sony SSCS5s, which I happen to have laying around because I just did a video that featured them again. That 25 watts is rated at 8 ohms. Okay, there's no 4 ohm rating on this. The Sonys are 6 ohm speakers, but it drove them just fine. It drove them very well, actually. I also hooked this up to the CSS Audio Crichton 1TDX, and it's a 87 dB 8 ohm speaker. It drove them fine. I never got past noon on this thing. Now I don't listen to like 90 dB, but again, I never got it past 12 o'clock position, and it was just fine. Which leads me again to talk about power. Most of the time, people don't need nearly as much power as they think they do. I also drove the ELAC Unify Reference, which is a harder to drive speaker. It's 85 dB sensitive. And again, this thing did a wonderful job. The other lower power amplifier I have that's class AB is the Vista Audio Spark. That puts out 20 watts a channel. With the Cambridge, I actually felt like it did a better job with the Unify reference than the Vista Audio Spark. This one just had better, it just controlled the bass a little bit more. I was feeding this with the Denafreps Aries 2, but I also tried it with the more affordable IEMA T8, which is a $130 DAC Bluetooth receiver headphone amp, which actually would go pretty good because that has a remote. This does not have a remote. This is old school, analog, knobs and buttons. The tone controls are up or down 5.5 dB, and they are at 20 hertz and 20K, which the wide end, pendulum swinging left or right, the other side of the streets. Anyway, you'd think that wouldn't sound great, but it sounds very good. And at 5.5 dB, I think it's very well done to where it's not like in your face. It's just coaxing the music to have a little bit more trebly or a little bit more bass. That wasn't very good. So how's it sound? Real nice. That's the end. That's the end of the review. Sounds real nice. I'll see you guys next week. It's full-bodied. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, please take this with a grain of salt because I personally prefer a fuller-bodied amp, and this is. It's very nice, but it's not like it's just like muffled and stuff. No, it's just it gives the music some weight and some heft. Meat on the bone, as some people would say. I think my buddy Ron says that. There's not a lack of highs or clarity, and I think some of that depends upon what you're feeding it too, because when I had the Denafreps in there, it was wonderful. It's very interesting to consider, because I was having a conversation with my buddy today, B, again, about would he rather spend $750 on a DAC and use a $250 amp, or spend $750 on a amp and spend $250 on the DAC. And I personally would spend it on the DAC. And I wouldn't have said that until I heard the Denafreps. And this isn't a Denafreps review, but it's an awesome DAC. Regardless, even when I was using the T8, which is a $130 all-in-one multi-function Swiss Army knife of an electronic component, it still sounded great. Lot less detail when I was using the T8, but still sounded very good. The Cambridge AXA25 is very different from the Vista Audio Spark. The Vista Audio Spark is very detailed. It's not thin, but it can be not as meaty as the Cambridge. And that's why I like the Cambridge, because I feel like a lot of the other components in this price category are going to be Class D amplifiers. And most Class D amplifiers can sound a bit thin, personally, to me. Well, not this thing. This thing is nice. If it's buying t-shirts, it's going to be an XL, sometimes maybe a 2XL, depending upon how the t-shirt is cut. Cambridge Audio sent this to me. Actually, I did a review on the XL Minx, which is one of their, it's a fine speaker. Very, very good speaker, and quite frankly would pair very well with this. I really like that speaker. Anyway, they watched that video and they said, hey, thanks for doing the video for us. Would you like to review some other stuff? And I said, yes. Can you send me the AXA35? And they said, no, we have the AXA25. And I said, send it over. And I like this. This kind of reminds me of my childhood. No remote, a bunch of knobs, 4 RCA ins. Actually, I never had that when I was growing up. 4 RCA ins, no shenanigans. I will say the one gripe I have about this, I love this thing, okay? Is it built great? It's built pretty well for $225. The binding posts are plastic, fine. They're still, except a banana. It's not like a clippy clip. You still put a banana plug in there. One gripe is there's an LED that comes on the power button, and it's white when it's in standby. And when you turn it on, it's whiter by a small margin. So I never knew when this thing was on or when it was off. And now I'd have to like try to see if I could hear the click. And even when I heard the click, I'm like, did I just turn it off? Did I just turn it on? Anyway, how about a different colored LED? But that literally, that's the only complaint I have with this amp. I don't know how this amp measures. Probably doesn't measure very well. I don't know, but to me, it is very pleasing. It's going to make small speakers sound big. I love the sound of this amp. Is it the last word in detail, clarity, and things like that? No. But If you pair it up with some more detail-centric speakers like the Sony SSCS5 or even the ELAC Unify Reference, it's going to sound great. I think about the only thing that's not going to sound phenomenal with this is going to be a very rolled off speaker on the top end. Something like the Mica RB42, which probably shouldn't be driving with this anyway because I think that's a 4 ohm 83 dB speaker. Maybe it's 6 ohm. I think the most shocking thing about this amp is how good it sounded with $118 speakers or $1,000 speakers. I think this is a perfect amp for your first amp, for a second amp in another room, for whatever. I love this thing. I love it. It is old school analog, no pretenses, and it's affordable at $225. If you're looking for something a little bit more traditional and not Class D, really this is about the only game in town besides the Vista Audio Spark, and that's $389. This is $225. Does the Spark beat it in detail? Yeah, it sure does. But for $225, unless you are just critically listening and just want the most extreme detail and every nuance of each note, then this is going to be great for you. And if you're looking for something like that, you're probably not looking at the $225 range. Anyway, if you're considering the AXA25, don't anymore. Go buy it. It's really good. $225. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. If you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon. Patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have patron-only Zooms where we get together and chit-chat about building speakers and stuff. DACs, stuff like that. Also, if you buy the Cambridge or anything else that's linked in the description, I'll get a small commission. You can also sign up for Amazon Music and you get 3 months of Disney Plus for free now. Also, CSS Audio, which makes awesome speaker kits and subwoofer kits. And I think it's that one, if I'm pointing at the right thing. Anyway, that speaker in the back, one of the brown ones, that's a 1TDX Crichton that's going to a customer tomorrow. Anyway, they reached out to me to have a raffle to raise money for Homes for Our Troops, which is a great veterans organization over here in the U.S. that help out service members who were injured in the line of duty. There is a link in the description. Click on the link. It goes to the homepage. It'll tell you all the stuff that's getting given away and all the details to how to enter. So don't binge watch anything unless you're binge watching Disney Plus because you signed up for a free trial of Amazon Music for 3 or 4 months, and now you get 3 months of Disney Plus. You can watch The Mandalorian and Loki and all that cool stuff, all the Marvel movies, all the Disney movies for the kids, or you, really. I like Disney movies. Anyway, you can binge watch. I'm confusing myself. Binge listen and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.